It's Sunflower Showdown week here in Kansas as the Kansas Jayhawks head on the road to Manhattan to face on the Kansas State Wildcats. And the question is, can the Jayhawks pull off the upset?
Hey, what's good, y'all? It's your boy JD6 here with my man. Shout out to KC Sports Authority. Make sure y'all go check that podcast out, man.
You heard the man. And welcome into another episode of the KC Sports Authority podcast. Over here on our YouTube page is where you can check us out. And if you're watching along with us, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. And shout out to all of our 1,000+ subscribers right now. Thank you guys so much. We're so grateful for everything you have done for us so far with the support. If you're new to the show, join the bandwagon, hit that subscribe button, and follow along with us for all of your KU basketball, KU football, NFL, Chiefs, Royals over in Kansas City here too, and we've got a lot of sports betting content with you here on the podcast. If you're new to the show, my name is Keegan Russell. He is JB Merker. You will see the two of us on almost every episode hosting this thing, and tonight we got Austin Eckert joining us because, fellas, it is game week. It is rivalry week. It is Sunflower Showdown week. KU versus K-State. We've got a preview, got to get in this game. A lot of headlines to get into. But coming off of a monster victory, if you want to call it that, a big-time blowout over, the down in the dumps Houston. We talked a little bit about them earlier in our KU basketball season preview episode. But coming off big win, 42-14, back in the win column. The vibes are steadily going back up. But we've got a big-time matchup this weekend against a program that has just dominated us for a decade and a half. Winners of 15 straight in this series. Nearly got him last year. Should have got him last year. Don't need to dwell on that loss, unfortunately. But we've got a big game this weekend. So, fellas, let's get into it. 2024 Sunflower Showdown preview. Before we start talking about the headlines and different aspects of this game, what are your individual vibes going into this matchup and early thoughts on how KU comes out for this big-time game?
It's tough, man. For me, I'm the type of guy that I'm gonna be the emotional one. I'm gonna be the guy that is really struggling from the fans' perspective. I mean, we have lost way too many games so far this season. We've lost games that we should not have lost. We have been way better than this record. We are way better than this record, and I think we are probably the best 2-win team in all of college football.
That's what they keep telling us.
Deep down in my heart, I believe that to be true. Way deep down. And I know in past weeks, your boy has gone on this podcast and denounced the football team. I said I'm not a fan anymore. I put up on Twitter, I'm not a fan of KU football anymore. It's time to bring it back, man. It's time. This. I'm feeling some optimism. I don't know what it is. I feel like it's K-State is what it is because it's this weird.
It's the hatred.
The hatred boils up, and it's this aura about this rivalry week that gets the blood flowing, and you're just like, man. We can beat these guys, and we will beat these guys, and that's kind of like my mindset. Screw it. I'm going to say we win. I know we're not
getting to predictions early.
We're already getting to predictions, but I'm just saying, I think we win. But look, it could just be the emotional side of me, but like you said, we were really close last year. I think we had the formula. We still have the same guys. We have so many guys on our roster that are itching for that win. So with all of the talent that we have, all the leaders, the seniors that are on this roster, you got to think this is the year. So I don't know. Austin, am I crazy or am I just what? Do I need
I know we said earlier in the week, and this still is true. This season is a wash. This season is a complete waste. All that is being true. But a win this Saturday night in Manhattan
makes it all worth it.
Bet your butt I'm signing back up for. We're running the table. We're getting back in the swing of things. And if we can't win the Big 12 championship, we can at least make sure little brother doesn't get there.
Oh, I'm not saying we're running any table. I'm just saying, like, cool.
The season,
like,
I guess,
just
the
win.
season wouldn't be a complete wash at that point.
This is our Super Bowl, and I will own it. I said it
Yeah,
in the
but yeah,
last episode.
Austin, is there enough optimism on your end too, coming off of the win last week to feel pumped? I know you're calling the game. First off, maybe that's the first thing we got to talk about. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's always fun whenever I get to, go on the road and call any, sporting event. I've only been able to do that a handful amount of times. I've always wondered what K-State's press box looked like and what their media area looked like too. So I'm excited to check that out. It'll be a lot of fun. In terms of how I feel about the game, look, there's a clip on American Dad where Roger the Alien is coaching against Stan's football team. He goes up to the team and he says, "All right, fellas, huddle up. We're not going to win the championship this year." And everybody goes, "What?" He was like, "Well, yeah, we're not doing well this season. What do you think was going to happen?" And then he goes, and then I forgot who said it, but someone was like, "Well, I guess we're not going to make my dad proud after all." And then Roger's like, "Wrong. We may not be winners, but we can be spoilers." And that's kind of what, Davey was alluding to right there. I mean, there's a chance that we can knock Kansas State out of the college football playoff contention and possibly Big 12 title game contention too. Because if KU ends up winning this game, then I think the clear two front runners to make the conference title game would be Iowa State and BYU. But where does the optimism come from? I mean, again, JB mentioned it. There's so many players on this team that played in last year's game, and everybody knows how that went. And then we kind of just shot ourselves in the foot with mistakes. Had the 2 interceptions, the muff punt, the drop pick 6. I don't want to spend too much time talking about it. I was there.
The Sean Snyder special
that soldier in
game.
war, that meme. That's how I felt just sitting there watching that game unfold. But I was really proud of the way they fought. Considering that they had to play Cole Ballard, and obviously Jason Bean was hurt. Couldn't. He was cleared to play, but just didn't practice enough during that week. And some people were like, "Well, I don't understand that. I mean, why don't you put your best players out there, especially for it being a rivalry game?" But
we totally would have won.
Yeah, that one still gets me. I understand the whole coaching philosophy of if you don't practice, you don't play. And so, he hadn't done any prep work for K-State that week, whereas Cole Ballard did have all the prep. So it's like, well, do you let the guy who prepped all week for it, or do you let the guy who's been your quarterback all season go out there? I don't know. So don't even get into that. But
yeah,
that was last year. This is this year. Different quarterback on the other side of the field too. But
right.
3 weeks ago, I was not feeling optimistic about this game at all. And I'm not saying the 42-14 victory is what's giving me the optimism, but again, something like what you guys are saying there, it's little brother, it's K-State, 15 years we have lost this matchup. It's time to put up or shut up. Because if we don't, I mean, again, last year was the year to do it. This year, it's unfortunate the season's gone as poorly as it has had, but things are starting to get better. We saw the defense get better. I know they played a bad offense, but Kobe did play. Cornell Wheeler came back. Pass rush looked good. So let's get into this matchup. I want to talk about some headlines, and of course, we've kind of already talked about it, but to me, the first and the most, I guess it's not the major headline because there's another one I want to get into, but one of the biggest headlines is the fact that, yes, KU to play the spoiler, not just spoil K-State's Big 12 championship hopes, as they are kind of in a prime spot to win this year. They were picked as one of the finalists to win the conference head of the season. But you knock K-State down here, you knock them back a few spots in the Big 12 championship. You've put them at 2 losses on the season at 6-2. They might now also be on the outside looking in for the college football playoff. So, like we said, if the rest of the season goes just as poorly as it has gone so far, but you knock K-State out of college football playoff contention and out of the Big 12 championship race, I think our entire fan base would be incredibly happy regardless what happens the rest of the year. So for me, that is the first headline of this matchup is, can we play the spoiler? Can we go in there and be the 10-point underdog on the road, go get the big-time upset, and make a national statement that, K-State's good, but they can't beat Kansas and what's supposed to be our best year with our worst outcome. So for me, that's headline number one. Any other thoughts on that front?
No.
Okay.
I just can't wait.
Yeah, same.
So part of the Sunflower Showdown, which I thought this was interesting, I was doing a little bit of research. KU and K-State have been playing since like 1902. It is one of the 3 longest tenured rivalry matchups in college football. This is the 122nd or 123rd showdown. 122nd. KU leads in all-time win totals. KU leads the all-time win 65, 51, and 5, which is just insane to think about because we haven't beat K-State since 2008. 15 years K-State has won this game every year since 2008. And the fact that they're still 14 wins behind is incredible. So they need another 15-year run to catch back up. So KU has the chance to snap the 15-game losing streak to K-State. They have a chance to go into Manhattan and win for the first time since that super impressive 30-24 upset in 2007 of the Orange Bowl season. And I can still picture, as I'm saying this, watching Aqib Talib run down the field in Manhattan on that pick six in the white jerseys and go on the road and win that one. But yeah, all-time win total. K-State's obviously taken a big chunk out of the last 15 years, but you have a chance to get back in the win column there and keep this thing at a 15-game distance. So to me, that's headline number 2. Can you go in there and end the streak? KU's got 2 of the most impressive Big 12 streaks. 14 straight college and Big 12 championships for basketball, 15 straight losses to K-State. That is hard to do. 15 years of anything is hard to do. So maybe this is the year that we end the streak. We said that last week that was going to be the theme this week is end the streak. So hopefully that's the case there. That's really all my thoughts on having that because to me the other biggest headline and really the only other reason we care about this game is DEVIN NEAL is about to set multiple records at Kansas. He's already had a couple, but he's about to break the 2 biggest records. He is 73 yards away from surpassing June Henley as the number 1 most rushing yards in Kansas football history. He's also 1 rushing touchdown away from tying June Henley for number 1, 2 from breaking it. Now, one record DEVIN NEAL did set this last week is the all-time total touchdowns of a running back at Kansas. He does have that record at 43, but he needs 2 more to have the all-time rushing record. So for me, this game is all about DEVIN NEAL breaking records. Anybody in agreement? Is he going to get it done? To me, that's the question.
Oh yeah,
he's averaging enough to get it done for sure. But this is the game we talked about at the beginning of the season. We asked Devin about this. If you haven't seen that episode, there's still excerpts from those clips you can go back on our YouTube page and watch that even though the season's underway, if you want to go back and hear some of Devin's thoughts on the season and this K-State game too, we have some thoughts on that. And we have a clip of him talking about breaking the record. But at the beginning of the year, it could happen against Houston. It could happen against K-State. I was in favor of it happening against K-State because it's a big-time game. Devin, of course, was hoping it'd be last week against Houston as a home game. But he's got a chance to go out and do something special this weekend, and I cannot wait to see it.
Yeah, you got to think about from the storyline perspective. Gosh, how cool is it? Let's think about this. I mean, how cool is it that, assuming that these records are broken, that it happens against K-State? This is just the type of stuff that these are the storylines that play out in movies. It just kind of feels like we're all in the cast of some crazy comeback story by KU, and I don't know who the director is, but I kind of want to have a bone to pick with him for all these years that we've been losing in a row. But man, I mean, this year with DEVIN NEAL in a position to cement himself as the best running back in a Kansas uniform ever, I love that it's coming against K-State. I love that it's coming in what I think is a potential win. And if this is also, I mean, us breaking that streak, I can't think of a better way to revitalize the entire KU fan base. I don't think there's anybody who's actually a KU fan that can look at this season as it is now and then watch us beat K-State if we do, and then continue to say this season sucked. It's just not possible, dude. If we beat K-State, it doesn't matter what else happens. It doesn't matter if we lose every other game. I've kind of said that a couple of times, but whatever, broken record. We got to beat K-State. It's happening.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it'd be special to see. Go ahead.
I'm hoping the same thing too. I mean, you can't script it better than that. You really can't. And I certainly hope all of that happens this weekend. But I mean, yeah, it would definitely make up for the 5-game losing streak that all three of us in here and everyone else has had to go through and endure. Now, I think a win over K-State would absolutely build some confidence in this football team. I mean, if you think about it, they're 2
100%.
losses away from not being bowl eligible. So, like, if you keep – I mean, because after this game, they're going to be on another bye week. So they've got, like, another week to, like, get ready for the final home stretch in those 4 games. But all 4 of those games are going to be tough. Even the Baylor game is going to be tough. I mean, Baylor's sneaky good. I mean – You looked at what they did against Texas Tech on the road against a 5-1 team. Everyone thought, oh, Big 12 dark horse, Texas Tech. Nope. So my point being is anything can happen in the Big 12 this year. I mean, you see it all across the board. KU's 2-5, this and that. You can look at the record and say whatever the heck you want to say about that. But KU is now they're kind of coming into form. Jalen's coming into form. Team's coming into form. I know it was Houston, and you can say it was Houston, this and that, all you want.
You play who's
I will take a blowout victory any day.
Yeah.
I don't care who it's against. I'll take.
It felt good. It felt real good.
Yes, it did. And so
I think we'd be sitting here very oh gosh, I'm going blank on the word, but not pessimistic, but we wouldn't have the optimism if KU squeaked out a 27-24 win over Houston.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not. I mean, Houston did go on the road and beat TCU, who we lost to. So, I mean, they're not like the worst team ever, in the history of ever, but I'll take that.
Yeah, you can only play who's on your schedule each week. But before we get into game predictions, I do want to just finish up conversation on DEVIN NEAL here. A couple things I want to mention. Not only is it cool that he's going to be able to set the record at Kansas, he's going to do it as a kid from Kansas. He's doing it. He's going to hopefully do it on the road against a school that I don't know. We've never talked with him about the recruiting to K-State, but we know that would never happen on his end. But you also got to think from K-State's perspective. All right, this is a guy who's setting a school record, and you weren't able to go get him. Now, again, I know that would never happen. He'd never go to K-State, but he gets to break the record potentially on the road against your biggest in-state rival on the biggest stage possible in the state of Kansas. I think that's just fantastic. We've said it before. There's going to be a statue of DEVIN NEAL someday around the new football stadium. I think the next conversation we'll have to have sometime, maybe it happens in the offseason, is after DEVIN breaks all these records, where is he going to rank in the all-time KU football players, top to bottom, as well as all-time Kansas student athletes in the history of Kansas athletics, like all-time greats? Where's DEVIN going to rank there? I think that'll be a fun conversation to have. But last question I have on DEVIN NEAL, and I know what his answer would be because the kind of guy he is, he's not going to put his team off to the side. But if DEVIN goes out, breaks the records, KU loses, we know there's nothing to play for the rest of the season. Would it be smart for DEVIN to just shut it down and prep for the NFL? Now, I know he's probably not going to do that because that's not his character. But I think nationally, there might be some people saying, "Oh, he's a top prospect for the NFL. This season's going nowhere. He's already set the record." You wouldn't blame him necessarily if he said, "Hey, I'll sit out the rest of the year. I've made my NIL money. I'll give my body some rest and prep for the NFL draft."
Honestly, I wouldn't mind it. Is that so evil of me to say? Like, I wouldn't mind it.
I think you have to answer it as there's the KU football fan, and then there's the DEVIN NEAL fan.
I'm a DEVIN NEAL fan.
He's going to play the whole season because that's who he is, but you wouldn't if you were just a fan of DEVIN NEAL and not of Kansas football, you could isolate the two and look at, hey, what's best for DEVIN might be sit out the rest of the year and prep for the draft. But I don't think that's going to happen. I would be incredibly surprised if that was – I could see him maybe scaling back some. The issue for me, though, is heading into this game, there's also concern if Daniel Highshaw's going to play or not again. He's always injury prone, so that's a concern. But I don't think it would happen, but wouldn't blame Dev if he wanted to sit out the rest of the year to prep for the draft.
For me, it's selfish, I would say, to hope that he plays out the rest of the season even after a loss. I don't know, but like I get it. I don't anticipate that he would ever do something like that, but even if he did, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't mind it. And I say that because I'm a fan of Devin NEAL. I think he's a fantastic guy. We had him, of course, on the podcast. If you missed that episode, you should easily be able to find it and go back and watch because it's timeless. So we did talk about a preview to the season, and the season has not gone very well, but it's still timeless episode. Make sure you go check it out.
I did, like I said, I did cut out a couple of clips that are on our YouTube channel that are just Devin talking about specific things. So yes, there's one on Devin talking about breaking the all-time record. There's thoughts on there's a lot of great segments from that episode that I also posted.
Yeah, and for me, I kind of look back at Devin NEAL in particular as being one of the pillars, if not the pillar, the spearhead of KU turning its entire program around. I mean, for every time that we say that he deserves a statue outside the new stadium, it kind of sounds like a joke. I'm not joking. I think he is so important to this program. And for me to look back in 20 years or so and say, man, it was Devin NEAL. It was, Jalen Daniels. It was guys like that really changed this program. I'm gonna be really bummed out if an injury happens late in the season when it didn't really matter anyway, and then it held them back from being seriously considered in the NFL draft, and then they kind of became just like irrelevant. I mean, I want these guys to have a great career. I think they deserve it. So I don't know. For me, like, I'm kind of thinking long term, looking back in 20 years and thinking, man, they really played their tails off for this program. I want the best for them. I wouldn't care one bit. At this, I think there's still an element in the back of my head of like, I'm checked out of the season. If we win this game, it kind of changes things. But if we lose, then I'm definitely checked out. I'll be honest. I don't think we will though. And man, he's a heck of a player. Has a great shot to do big things at the next level.
Absolutely. All right, let's get into the game predictions. Let's talk about this matchup. K-State on the year 6-1, 3-1 in Big 12 play, coming off an incredibly impressive win at West Virginia. Again, West Virginia is not the West Virginia of the last 5, 6, 7 years, but a hard place to play. We've talked about that before, that no matter what, Morgantown's a tough place to play. Now, on our sports betting episode last week, I had West Virginia covering because I still told myself I'm not going to pick K-State to dominate a road game until Avery Johnson goes out and proves he can win on the road with his arm. And what did he do last week? We didn't see him run the ball at all. There's some speculation. I didn't ask any of my K-State connections on any of that this week. But Avery Johnson had probably one of his best games throwing the ball in his young career, going 19 for 29, 298 yards, 3 touchdowns. Now, of those 298, he had a 60-yard bomb and a 53-yard bomb. So there's a large chunk of his total yards there. But 3 touchdowns, no picks, very clean game in the pocket. Didn't have to run the ball much. So Avery Johnson went out and proved it. He's a good quarterback. I've been waiting to see that all year. Again, one of my buddies from a betting perspective, we talked about it all season, that Avery Johnson's a dual threat dynamic quarterback that can beat you with his legs easily. But I always told him, it's like, I got to see it with his arm. They go into BYU, they get spanked. They haven't been very good on the road. Even that Tulane game, they probably should have lost on the road at Tulane. But Avery got it done this weekend against a lesser team in West Virginia, of course, between BYU and Tulane. But I think I saw enough out of him in that game that I can take that away now. I can say, hey, he can beat you with his arm. So it's going to be a big time matchup. Like I said, K-State 6-1 on the year. Some statistics for you guys about them. They averaged a little over 33 points a game while only giving up 20-ish points a game. So that already has me a little worried there because our defense now has been decent and hasn't given up that many points, but it's been hard for the offense to consistently score 30 plus. So if you're just looking right there, K-State's got the edge. That's honestly why K-State's a 10-point favorite at home. 3 points for being the home team, a touchdown because they are the better team.
I didn't know it was 10.
10. Yeah, this line has moved. Yes,
I believe this is the second. I believe this is the second time in the Lance Leipold area that we were like a 10-point underdog. When's the last time we were a 10-point underdog? Last year against Oklahoma. When did that game happen? Almost a year ago exactly to this weekend. I'm not going to say it. I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it, but I'm telling you. You never know.
Conspiracy music.
Now, I'm for sure have a play on KU to cover and KU to win this game outright, of course, because we got to make some money. But yeah, K-State's a 10-point favorite. They are a really good offense. They run the ball super effectively. DJ Giddens, not just one of the best running backs in the Big 12, one of the best running backs in the country. Came off of a slower performance last week, but he had a massive game the week before. That obviously scares me. KU's ability to stop the run. Mobile quarterback also scares me. Their wide receivers don't do a ton for me, but they're an incredibly well-coached team. Kleiman's team is incredibly disciplined. There's not often that they make bonehead plays that cost them. You look back to that game last year, what cost KU that game? Bonehead plays, undisciplined. K-State doesn't beat themselves. If a team goes out there and beats them, it's because that team's a better team. So this is an incredibly well-coached team, a team that is well-deserved of their top 25 ranking and well-deserved to be in the top half of the conference. I still sometimes look at that and I go, throw all that out the window. This is a rivalry matchup. None of that matters because everything changes. Everything changes. So, yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of things about this team that scares you. Defensively, they are pretty stout. Again, they are always a very disciplined team. They don't pick up a lot of defensive penalties. They force you into a lot of third down situations that are tough to get by. KU, however, is one of the best third down teams in the country. One of the top 3 in the country, actually. So that plays very well for him. The offense has been improving and getting better. Jalen looks to be like his old self, getting in rhythm. It's frustrating at the same time. The defense has struggled some. But Austin, I think you and I talked about this last week or the week before. What was getting forgotten about KU's defensive struggles is the fact that Cornell Wheeler missed a couple games. And that miss at linebacker is huge. Yeah, it is. The coaches have talked about Tywan Berryhill, saying that he's doing things we don't usually ask of him. He's doing the best he can, but they've basically said he's not meant to call out the plays, be a coverage linebacker, stop and do all these things. He's meant to be a single type guy. And Cornell Wheeler has been incredible this year as in that linebacker spot, calling the shots on defense. We weren't sure if we were going to see Kobe Bryant last week, and of course comes out, gets the 3 picks. So the defense I think is in the right direction again. Borland gives up a lot of yards, but they really haven't given up a ton of points, which gives me some hope in this. So some of that information out there, thoughts you guys have, predictions of this game, how you feel KU's path to victory, what that looks like.
And I think if they're throwing a lot, I feel like that bodes well for us. I'd take our cornerback room over just about any program in the country. So whether it's Melo or Kobe, I think they're both primed and ready for a pick 6. Gosh, I hope it's Kobe too. I haven't seen one from him in a while. Maybe I'm like forgetting one that just happened. I don't know. When was the last Kobe pick 6? Like I've seen Melo.
Was it against Texas in 2021 or no? That was West Virginia in 2022, I believe.
I think he had one last year. Maybe it was just Melo.
I think it was just Melo because Melo had the back-to-back interception returns against Oklahoma and Iowa State.
It's like
and then he started this year off with a pick 6.
Right. Yeah.
I just feel like, well, okay.
Is this a keep to lead moment?
Yeah, I mean that's what I want. That's what I want because pick 6 against like Lindenwood's not going to matter to me. Like I needed a marquee matchup.
Speaking of that, real quick side note. KU's 2-5 with a plus 45 scoring differential. The 2 wins, blowouts. The losses, one possession or less. So yes,
the hell?
your
Oh my
idea of
gosh.
KU's the best 2-5 team in the country is probably accurate
Yeah.
because that's I haven't done the math, but I'm curious to see where that plus 45 ranks top to bottom in college football.
Yeah,
Yeah.
All right.
the teams who the teams who are better than what their record shows, they're always sneaky good. Like that's just how it is
Hey,
in college
man.
football.
I don't know if we'll get to 30 points. I feel like we might need a defensive score to get to 30 plus points, but
I 100% agree with you. Yeah.
if we get to a score of 31-27, I could see a game like that.
Yeah, you
being
want
the
to
final
be in
score.
it. You want to be in it in the fourth quarter. Now, again, fourth quarter has
Yeah.
not been kind to KU football this year, but you want to head into the fourth quarter feeling like you've got a chance and you're 1 or 2 possessions away from changing it. Some more statistics I'm going to throw your guys' way that strike me as major concerns. Offensively, K-State averages over 220 rushing yards a game. They only give up 83 rushing yards a game. DEVIN NEAL averages 98, so you like to think the law of averages there. KU hits the over, especially with the way the offensive line has looked in run protection. K-State has ran the ball for twice as many yards as the opponents. That's scary. Again,
Wow.
strength running is KU's strength, but that's scary. That tells you that their front seven's been pretty solid at slowing down the run. They've got 11 rushing touchdowns. They average 6.2 yards per rush attempt. So if they just run the ball every single play, obviously that average is going to come down some. But they basically average a first down every 2 rushing attempts. That gives me cause for concern. But JB, to give your point about the passing, I think Avery looked good last week, but that's one game. That's one game proving that he can throw the ball. KU's got a good secondary. If you can get him into a lot of third and long situations, meaning you have to stop the run or at least slow them down early and force him to make these big plays, and he still beats you, fine. But are you better off letting Avery Johnson beat you through the air or let him and DJ Giddens combine for 200 plus rushing yards? You'll take the passing every single time. He's got 14 passing touchdowns on the year. He averages 7 yards a pass attempt, which is pretty spot on for an average quarterback in college football. Only the 5 interceptions, which is honestly pretty good 7 weeks into the season. So he doesn't, like I said, he doesn't turn the ball over a lot. He doesn't make all these mental mistakes, but he also doesn't throw the ball a ton either. So I think there's a lot of room there. Obviously, on the season, K-State's thrown the ball for 300 less yards than their opponents have combined for. So to me, that's part of this key is, can your defense put them in situations to force them to throw, and then can your secondary, all sides of the secondary, step up and have a big time game? If we get a Kobe Bryant pick 6, which from a betting perspective, I think that's a bet everyone should go out there and place this weekend, is a KU defensive touchdown. But I think you feel pretty good about this. But some other total yards, total offense. Again, they average almost 7 yards a play, which is fantastic. Playing ahead of the sticks is not good for the opponent. They average 428 yards of offense a game while only giving up 333. So K-State's offense can score. Their defense can also slow you down. But on the other side, I don't know if Jeff Grimes has completely gotten a pass yet, but he, for 1 week, looked really good. KU is averaging 30 points a game, so they're only a few points behind K-State. In reality, despite how bad the offense has looked this year, KU still found ways to score 20-plus points. Now, a lot of that 30 points is the Lindenwood game in Houston being way up there. But we've seen KU get things back together the last couple of weeks. KU's defense only giving up 24 points a game. So if you're looking at the averages there, does it look more likely that KU gives up less than 30 or K-State gives up less than 30? I don't know. I think that they're pretty close. K-State's defense is a little bit better, so the spread is a little bit wider there. But I think there's something there to give you some hope that KU could do something in this game to keep it interesting.
So hold on. So Austin, do you think, I got this running through my head, but it's all this talk sounds to me like we need to limit possessions. If we focus on the run game as much as possible, if we focus on getting DEVIN NEAL these record-breaking moments, that has to be the formula to win, because I believe in DEVIN NEAL to go over in yards. I fully believe in him on that. To me, I'm calling it a bias, but he's the best dang running back in the country. So, whatever.
I don't know. Ashton Janty might have something
Genty's
to say
pretty
about
good,
that.
but I'll put Devin up there. I'll put Devin up there for sure. And I will say this about Devin. He's definitely going to walk away from KU as the best running back in program history, without a doubt. With all due respect, guys like El Sayers and June Henley and Tony Sands, all those guys. I mean, yeah, Devin is going to walk away as the best running back in this in program history. I did want to bring this up real quick, just to kind of backtrack. Whatever Devin decides to do, win or lose after this game, I want him to do whatever he thinks is best for him and his career and all that stuff. So, I mean, if he decides to, opt out for the rest of the season, so be it. I just wanted to say real quick, I'm very proud of him for everything that he's accomplished this season and in the past 3 seasons. And it's been a joy and it's been a privilege to watch him play and to watch one of the best KU football players in history, go out there and do his thing. But going back to the game, I definitely think that's a recipe for success for KU. I mean, if you go back and, for example, watch the Illinois UNLV games, why did those 2 teams beat us? Because they played the time of possession game,
especially second half.
Right. Yeah. And if KU can do that, which I think they absolutely can, then that's going to give them a better chance to win this football game, because Kansas State, I feel like, is going to try to do the exact same thing. So if you can get Kansas State's offense off the field early and hang on to the ball for as long as you can, establish a consistent running game, get Jalen, some quick throws to build his confidence, because once his confidence grows, he's throwing it all over the place. So, I mean, build his confidence up, give Devin the ball, let him go break the record this weekend, and I think the offense will be in good shape. But you just can't turn the ball over. Don't beat yourself up. Don't have one of those instances where you have a holding call on a big play. Don't have those drive-killing penalties. That's how Kansas State has beaten KU in recent years, or just in general. That's how they win football games. And Keegan, you mentioned it. K-State's not a team that beats themselves up, and they've never been like that. So don't have drive-killing penalties. Hang on to the ball for as long as you can. Get the K-State offense off the field early, and I think the momentum will shift in the Jayhawks' favor. But
yeah, it sounds simple. I mean, it sounds easy, but you got to simplify the game. You play disciplined football, you have a chance. I gave you guys a lot of stats on K-State, and I didn't run through all of KU's. Offensively, both these teams are very similar on paper. They run the ball effectively, and when they run really well, they tend to win. Now, KU's woes this year have all been, even when the offense hasn't looked great, it's all been poor execution in the second half and the defense giving up the big play late in the game. So if you take the fourth quarter out, just completely forget about the fourth quarter this year. And I know you can't do that, but take the fourth quarter out. These teams are very similar on paper still, offensively and defensively. So I look at that and I see, if you think of maybe 5 plays this year from KU football and you reverse them, then maybe we're sitting here 5-2, 4-3, 6-1. Our seasons are almost identical. Similar threat at quarterback. Jalen's probably a better thrower, despite the fact that he hasn't looked good this year all season. But he's the better quarterback of the 2, in my opinion. Avery's probably the better runner, but Jalen's better quarterback. You've got the better running back. You've got the better wide receiver core. You've got similarity at tight end. They probably have the slight edge offensive line because they're just a factory for offensive linemen. But in reality, these teams are really not that far apart on paper. The problem is that game film suggests otherwise, because KU just gets destroyed in the second half. So for me, this entire game comes down to do what you do well and minimize the things you struggle with. Meaning you got to control the ball in the second half. So just like you said, JB, either limit possessions for K-State by taking the ball away from them. So you got to have a defensive. I think you need to have at least 1 to 2 turnovers in this game. You have to be able to flip the time of possession in your favor, because the more you can run the clock down, the better that is. But then to me, it's all going to come down to second half and mostly fourth quarter execution. KU has, I haven't gotten the actual statistic on this, so I'm going to semi make this up off of what I've seen. I'm pretty sure KU has controlled the ball in the fourth quarter on average less than 4 minutes of the fourth quarter in their 5 losses. So if you are not going to have the ball in the fourth quarter, how are you supposed to win games? So if you can do what we talked about, play disciplined football, minimize penalties, minimize the mistakes. If Jalen plays a clean game, no turnovers, you're running the ball effectively and you're stealing possessions and taking away some clock in the fourth quarter, I think you have a really, really good shot here. Because again, what I think K-State does well, I think KU can match up well against. What KU does well, I think is also a good matchup for to have production against K-State's defense. So I think it's going to be a fun smash mouth game. I wouldn't be shocked if K-State jumps out to an early lead with the momentum being at home, being a big time game for them. But how cool would it be if we start this game off with a big time first drive sack to put them in fourth down to punt, or a strip sack fumble, or Avery throws a pick six to get it going. So I think that would be exciting. And if you see that in the first quarter, sign me up for the rest of it. I'm going to be pumped. But other thoughts on the game itself, or anything you guys need to see? Obviously, we know Devin Neal's going to have a big game, but is there any guy you're looking at going, man, if I had to circle this guy that needs to really step up today, this is him?
I don't know about anybody circling, but I just feel like our defense is just gassed every game. It'll be better if we can hold on to, or at least win the time of possession battle. But that is what I feel like has cost us the most throughout the season, was just getting gassed. I mean, the fourth quarter is our biggest enemy. So, it's time to flip the script. What about you, Austin?
End the streak. Flip the script.
Yeah, I mean, end the streak. That's the that's the repeated phrase. End the streak, just end the nightmare. And I brought up that Oklahoma game not too long ago, and I said that KU was a 10-point underdog. Going into that game, KU ended a losing streak that weekend too. It was an 18-game losing streak. That's a lot of games to lose in a row. And for KU to send the Sooners to the SEC with an L, I think is pretty special. And KU's got a chance to, obviously K-State's not going anywhere, but this is an opportunity for the Jayhawks to finally end the nightmare and to, because I feel like I don't want to say this is like one of the final boxes to check in terms of like things to accomplish in the Lance Leipold era, because there's still a lot that we can do, and there's still a lot that we can accomplish in the next few years and beyond. But this would absolutely, kind of be like a turning point for this program. And, because I think, again, this is one of these things where it's like, we got to do it at some point. And I think it'll happen, and streaks don't last forever. Things always come to an end. And I feel good, but it's just going to come down to execution. And I think, I'll be honest with you guys. I feel like KU maybe wants it more in this game. And I know K-State, they always play every game, well-disciplined, and they're always ready to play. But man, you got to think, like, I think KU wants it more. I mean,
who's got the most pressure to win this game? I mean, you could say KU does from the fan base, because the fan base is mad, but at the same time, the fan base is pretty much checked out. You lost the fan base 4 weeks ago. So you go out and win this game. Yeah, the fan base is bought in, but yeah, K-State's got way more to prove. If KU loses this game, okay, we already know that we are a bad football team this year, and then we're not going to a bowl game, most likely. Now, technically, that's still on the table with 6 losses, but you don't really have as much to lose as K-State does. So I've always been one in sports. The team that has the most pressure to win that game is the team that has a better likelihood of coming out and losing. So yeah, give me that edge there too with you. I like that edge. I think KU's got a lot to play for. I think the seniors are going to be super motivated to go out and get this done. They're mad about last year's loss. The team, I think, is pissed with the way the season's gone. So why not go out there and show that despite the way the season has gone, as poor as it has, that you're still a good football team and you can get back in the good sides and run off some streaks here. So let's end with some score predictions.
I said 31-27. Sticking to it.
Kansas,
same exact score as
KU
last year.
upset 31-27.
That'd be a pretty deafening way to get revenge. Win 31-27 on the road after losing 31-27 at home the year before. I definitely think that this game can end up in some sort of that scoreline. But if KU's going to walk away with a victory, which I honestly think they can do it, I'm going to go with – I hope this doesn't backfire. Please don't let this backfire, because I was on a podcast episode like a year ago, and I actually said 31-27 KU, and it ended up being 31-27 K-State, dang it. So what I'm going to say, and geez, please, football gods, do not let this backfire on me. If this happens again, I'm going to be mad. I'm going to go with 27-24 KU.
That's what I was going to say.
Really?
Comes down to a field goal. KU gets it done in the fourth quarter.
Tabor Allen game-winning field goal.
Oh my God!
Gets it done in the fourth quarter.
Can you imagine if that happens?
Walk-off
Kid
field
out of
goal.
Mansfield, Texas, wins it for KU.
Better get to the 25-yard line to ensure that happens.
Speaking of yardage or yard lines, all that stuff, I believe KU's perfect in scoring in the red zone, whether it's a touchdown or a field goal.
They also have. I had that pulled up. I'll pull it back up for you.
So if KU can get in the red zone too, then
they're 19 for 24 on touchdowns. They are 24 for 24 on red zone attempts. So they have scored every time they get to the red zone.
Just got to get to the red zone.
19 touchdowns, 5 field goals.
I'll take that.
And they've only missed one extra point. So yeah, I like it there. 27-24 is going to be my prediction as well. So I'll keep that with you. Last question I have for you. Would you rather, if I could give you, I think give you 2 buttons. One option is KU gets blown out. KU blows a fourth quarter lead. Which would you rather pick if you had to?
Oh man.
What would hurt less? KU getting blown out, so the game's over early, don't think about it, or KU's got them on the ropes, and they lose it late.
Blowout.
I think that would. You think the blowout loss would hurt more?
Yeah, I at that point I just wouldn't care.
I guess I would rather take. I guess let me rephrase. I'm with you. I would take the blowout loss over the keep it close. Yeah. There's nothing worse than getting your heart ripped out right there at the end. But if it's gone, like if I know there's not a chance from the start,
just let me know immediately.
Yeah. Don't give me the Dumb and Dumber. So you're telling me there's a chance. It might not be a great chance, but if there's a chance there late in the game and we blow it, I'll be mad. But yeah. I think that's a good place to end it. Cool. Let's go get the dub this weekend. Big time matchup. Let's play spoiler to K-State's season. Let's go in there. Maybe not recoup everything that the season could have been, but we can definitely have a big time high this week if we go out there and get the win. And so thank you guys for checking us out. And reminder, if you're KU basketball fans, we've got our KU basketball season preview is up over here on YouTube. You can make sure you check that out. Also, the other news that broke earlier this week, again, we've officially surpassed 1,000 subscribers for a couple of weeks now. So we are going to be doing our giveaway, a signed jersey of Devin NEAL, a signed jersey of Jalen Daniels. Now that Jalen Daniels' jersey is looking a little bit better since he's getting back. So we'll have those details on our social media this weekend. So make sure if you haven't done so yet, you hit us up on all of our social medias, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at KCSA Pod. And again, if you're over here on YouTube, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button so more Jayhawk fans like yourself can find the channel and get pumped for basketball season, that is our bread and butter. That is our favorite time of year on this podcast. Going to keep the KU football content through the end of the season, but KU basketball is going to become a primary focus as they look to be the season favorite to win the Big 12, to win the Final Four, and get away from the preseason number 1 curse. So if you want any details on the season there, go check that episode out. We'll have a couple more before that regular season kicks off. So that'll wrap it up for this one. Fellas, thanks again for joining me as always. And there's only one thing left to do. Rock chalk.
Rock chalk.
Rock chalk.